Hi, everybody. How are you? We are going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to be working with the Akashic Records. Today is a fun day because I was doing a sabbatical on a farm, and being the Gemini that I am now doing the complete opposite, and I am summering in the city. So I am in downtown Toronto in this gorgeous space. I'm actually summering with my son. I'm lucky enough to have, I'm one of those lucky moms that has an amazing kid, and we just get on so well, and I get to watch him grow and thrive. And he said, "Mom, come spend the summer with me." So I said, "Okay, that's cool. That's what I'm going to do." Hi, Glenn. How are you? He is my big bro. I like my big bro. All right. So today we're going to be working with the Akashic Records. And wait till a few people come online. I'm really glad that everybody comes back time and time again. And we have some exciting news too. Our show is going to have guests, and perhaps starting even next week, I have somebody that I don't know Glenn is going to really like now that I think of it. He deals with taking pictures of orbs. Yeah. Glenn. So there is a big debate in the paranormal world about whether orbs are actually orbs or are they dust bunnies. So this is going to be a really interesting one. If I can get this particular guest, he'll be on next week. And then we have in May, Cynthia Fontaine, who is a famous psychic that I absolutely cherish and love. She's been on my Rogers show before, and she is an American reader who is just a fantastic person. So we're going to have her. We're going to have the vampire librarian, who is just an incredible person, and I just absolutely adore him to bits. And we're also going to have Kayla, who works with parenting, and I want to have her on because I want to talk about how to energetically parent your child, how to intuitively parent your child, and what that means, and how that affects our children as babies as they grow up. So as you can see, we're going to do a whole load of things starting late April into May, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So now that we have that out of the way, we want to talk about everybody wants to talk about the Akashic Records. And this is a really important subject because a lot of people go online to find out about the Akasha, and they don't realize that there's not a lot of actual information about there. And you have to forgive me, I didn't realize there's a big light back there, so I keep trying to kind of shadow it. So the Akashic Records is the library of the everything and the all. So if you think of a room within a room, within a room, within a room, limitlessly, this is the Akashic Records. And it never ceases to amaze me, the rooms that we have access to. Like even just today, I was literally just doing an Akashic Records reading, and a room came open that was really cool. It was what was it? It was the room of fairy tales, right? Oh my God, it was so cool. And it was the room of fairy tales. And I didn't actually get to go into the room yet, but I am going to go explore it. But my client now has access to that through her guides. And that's really neat. So with the Akashic Records, you need to understand that you need to, yes, Pauline, you finally caught my live, and it's Akashic Records. So this one will be of interest to you. In the Akashic Records, it's an amazing thing, right? So you will always be shocked and surprised. So coming back to the basics, the Akashic Records is a room within a room within a room, limitlessly. It is organic. It's a living entity. It's a living thing. So when we go up into the Akasha, we want to be respectful and reverent, but we also need to understand that it's all about having fun. And the one thing that we're expected to do in the Akasha is to expect the unexpected. And like I said earlier, I'm always shocked every single time that I go in there with a client. It's just unbelievable, unbelievable. And we all have access to the Akasha to one extreme or another. Some people are limited in the Akasha because they may be records keepers. Records keepers are those who can look at everyone's records and change them and heal them and what have you. There are many, many things, but we'll get into that. So the Akashic Records is a living entity of its own. And within the Akashic Records, there is what I call a librarian. Some may have another name for it. And these will always, the Akasha will look as we see it individually. However, traditionally, most people, when they go in, literally see it as a library. And if you look up, it's limitless. Like, it's a limitless library. It's the most beautiful thing in the whole world. And so in the Akashic Records, we each have a records room. And in that records room is all our information, past, present, and future. In the Akashic Records, we all have a guide who works with us as well. I have a particular guide that works with me that I absolutely adore. I call him Imp, and he's kind of like a cross between a groblin and a gremlin. So we call him a goblin and a gremlin. So we call him a groblin, and he's actually been seen on this plane. I did an Instagram once, and in this Instagram, you can actually see his face in this green energy that comes into the screen and then it goes out again. But people have actually physically seen him in my home. And so that's what I love about the Akashic Records, that it blurs the walls. So our existence is a room of the Akashic Records. Dream time is a room of the Akashic Records. Every cell, every strand of DNA, every gene is a room of the Akashic Records. And I love Men in Black is a great, the very first one is wonderful. Right at the end, Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith go to a locker, and they open the locker, and there's a whole universe inside the locker. And then you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, right? And I love that, because that is the Akashic Records for me, and for those who work with the Akasha. And as I was saying, there are many, many limitless rooms. And when we have dream time or journey, because dream time is different than journey. Dreaming is when our subconscious mind is trying to release the information of the day. When we go into the journeying time, that's when we're in the Akashic Records. This is when we walk into the main hall and we start to journey from there. So happy Tuesday, Patricia. So when we have those wonderful dreams or those journeys, those lucid dreams where there is a window or a door, my sister and her son actually see school buses. He's 8 and she's a teacher. So this actually makes sense and correlates. When she was younger, she was a mall rat. I don't even know. She'll probably show up at some point. And she used to tell me that she used to see like these stores, and each one had a door, and they would light up, and then she would pick one and she would go. So this is the Akashic Records and how we can access different rooms and different places in different ways. The Matrix is another really good example of that, when he's at the train station. If you remember that scene, and the subway opens, and a lot of people will see that in their dream time, a big train. And do you get on the train or do you stay off the train, right? Where is the train going? All of these different things. That could also be a gateway to and into the Akashic Records, or around the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records, like I said, is a living entity of its own. And it's the most phenomenal experience when you do get to experience. And this is one of the reasons I like to do this with people. And I've had some people who are so gifted that when they go into the Akasha and I take them in there, they take over. Right? So how I work personally is I take somebody up into the Akashic Records, and then it's their higher selves that shows us around. And one of my favorite rooms is the room of ancestors. And the reason I was talking about the dream time was because a lot of people will dream of their ancestors, dream of their uncles, their aunts, their grandmothers, their mothers, their fathers, not realizing that they're actually going into the room of ancestors. And they'll be like, okay, you know what? I was at my old house when we were growing up, or I was on a golf course and I saw my dad. These are their meeting grounds. These are the meeting grounds. A lot of people see it as a library or a drawing room. For me, and I still don't understand why, and I probably should ask, it's a Victorian tea garden. And it's just the most phenomenal place to be. So each of us will see it in a different way. Hi, Nancy, how are you? Hi, Renee, how are you? Questions, I will be answering questions and doing readings, but as always, I do them at the end of the show. So please stay tuned until the end of the show, the last probably, 20 minutes, something like that. The Akashic Records is amazing, especially when you want to understand who you are more deeply and what the connections are between people. So, why is my son my son? Why did I have the dad that I do? Why do I love the things that I love? These answers are all in the Akasha. Like the Akasha has everything. It is an incredible journey into the essence of self. And you can even go into past lives for yourself and for others. With the Akashic Records, there are also places that some people have access to that others will not. Like there is an area that I call the bog, and the bog is where the dark stuff lies, right? So understand, for me, there is heavy energy and there is light energy. So those heavy energies live in the bog, and I have access to that. Some people do, some people don't. And in the bog, there are actually healing qualities, healing things that you can go and receive from there. So again, the only limitations we have are the ones we place on ourselves. And Akashic Records is a great place to practice non-limitation, because you can do anything. Like those people who dream about flying, in the Akashic Records, we know that when we dream, our spirits come from our body and they go into that journey, into that lucid dream. And we're going into the Akashic Records and we're flying and we're moving around. And not everybody has to fly in the Akashic Records, but some people do. Sophia says, can you do Akasha again and again to get different information? Great question, Sophia. And if you do have questions about the Akashic Records, now is the time to ask, because you're not just asking for yourself, you're asking for everybody who's out there and who will listen to the replay later. Yes, you can. I like to do them far and few between. Like I've had people do them 2 and 3 times, but they might do them a year apart because we do evolve and we change. And again, the rooms are limitless. So that means if I do one this year, right, the changes I go through may take me into different rooms next year. And I may have different questions, or somebody has passed and you want to connect to them through the room of ancestors. And animals are included in that, by the way. And I've had times in the Akashic Records where just a few days ago, somebody was holding a baby, a grandmother was holding a baby, and this was the unborn child, or the child that was not, who did not come to pass, of a daughter who had passed away. And in the Akasha, we saw this baby give to the daughter, and the daughter was happy and she was joyful. And in life, she was not joyful. But there, because now she had this baby that she lost, she was the extreme of joy that I felt that she gave me was just remarkable. And people, when they do the Akasha, can feel it too. They can experience it as I'm experiencing it, because the Akasha is a part of who we are. Like I said, genetically, all of us have the connection. Deanna says, this is fascinating. How do I learn more? Okay, so the first step is, go to the internet, read about it, but understand the only way to really experience the Akashic Records is to go into the Akashic Records and work yourself. And so I'm going to give some ideas as to how you can do that. This is something that I also, I don't want to say teach it, but if you book a reading with me, like an Akashic Records reading, and you want to learn how to get in and get out and how to utilize it, I will show you how to do that, because everyone does and should have access. We can talk about, what you do in the Akasha, because every single person has a job in the Akasha. All of us have something that we need to do. So when I was a little girl, I used to dream about, and it was lucid, I would be in this courtroom. And in the courtroom, there would be like a monster or a witch or something. And sometimes it was so real, it was tangible. But these people didn't look like caricatures. They looked like what they looked like, even the creatures. And it was almost like I was a prosecuting attorney. And so when I grew up, I decided I wanted to become a lawyer, because my dreams kept saying, be a lawyer, be a lawyer, be a lawyer. And when I went into the real time of law, it never really sat with me. And then when I started working with the Akasha through a medicine person, she told me, she goes, you work law. universal law. And I'm like, oh my God. She goes, yeah. She goes, I see you in a courtroom. I see you doing this, and this is what you do. And I go, holy mother. She goes, you bring justice. You bring protection. You bring, and I'm like, oh my God, these are the things I saw when I was a child. And some people, like I said, are records keepers. Some people are protectors. Some people are guardians of the realm, the Akashic realm. Others work in the animal communications room, and they work with animals and creatures in there. Like if anybody's ever seen that Harry Potter spinoff, I think it's called Beautiful Creatures or something, or Fantastic Creatures. There are creatures like that in the Akasha. I read this woman once whose daughter would have these inspirations and she would draw them. And when she was younger, and I said, it's so weird. She's accessing the Akashic records, and I keep seeing these creatures. They're almost like the Star Wars creatures from the cantina, and all of this different stuff. And she starts laughing. And I said, well, what's so funny? And she goes, oh, she just got a job with George Lucas's Creature Feature Factory. And I'm like, what? So you need to understand, everybody out there who's listening right now, a lot of stuff that we see, this is all inspired. I would say all the stuff that we see and experience on this plane is inspired by the Akashic records, the creatures and Fantastic Creatures and Harry Potter and all of these things. This is our practical brain saying, hey, how do we process and bring that world into this world, that room into this room? How do we open the door of that room into this room? And we use cinema, right? Art imitates life. Life imitates art. So the Akashic Records is a great place for that. Writers who get their inspiration, who are inspired, who have their spiritual muses, a lot of times are getting information from the Akashic Records. Even me, I work with angels, guides, guardians, gods, and all of these different things. I have access to them and more through the Akasha. And that's a limitation to say, hey, you know what? The Akasha is the end, is the be all, is the end all, is actually a fallacy I have recently found out. Because then there is beyond the Akasha. That's what I call it. It's beyond the Akasha and beyond the Akasha and limitlessly beyond the Akasha, which is a whole wiki experience in of itself. But we're going to focus on the Akasha. So someone had asked early, how do I learn more? Reading about it, going online about it, but finding people who work with the Akasha and finding even, I think there are some people who teach classes. I know that there was somebody who used to in Body Light. She was amazing. She used to teach this, but I do it one-on-one. So if you do a reading with me, if this is something you're interested in, we make it a little bit about that as well, because I feel it's important for people to have access to do this. Ann Williams says, are you doing readings? Yes, I always do readings every week with this show in the last 20 minutes, half an hour. We always, 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 always do readings. Okay, so that is a given. If you want to come to this show, you're going to get readings at the end of it, but you have to kind of sit through the first part. So yeah, and as I was saying earlier, we're going to have some really great guests on in the coming months. So that's going to be a lot of fun too. But with the Akashic Records, you need to understand that we have guides and guardians that we work with up there, but also our higher selves. And that to me is so extremely exciting because our higher selves are also limitless. We are Akasha. So when I go up into Akasha and I call in your higher self, whatever aspect of your higher self wants to come through, that's the aspect that's going to guide us. So let's make this simple. When we talk about higher selves, we're talking about different parts of our spirit. So let's say I want to do accounting, but I'm not good with numbers, which I'm not. I go into paralysis. What I do is I ask and give permission to whatever higher aspect of myself can do numbers and can do accounting. I access that now and I bring that into my body and I'll allow you to work with me. And so then it's almost like a frenzy. I just sit and I write and I do, and I'm finished within the day or the weekend or whatever. And then I say, thank you. I release you. Right? So I can call on any aspect of my higher self that I require, or I can sit down and go, I call on that higher aspect of myself that I require in this moment, even though I don't know which one that is, I call you in, or whatever higher aspects. Right? Don't put limitations on yourself. Hi, Lori, how are you? So in the Akashic Records, when we go up there, whatever higher aspect of yourself is necessary to guide us wherever we go, that's what we do. right? So I've seen higher aspects of ourselves come through as Sufis, and they don't necessarily even look like us. I had one guy come in as a centaur, one of his higher aspects, and he started laughing. And I said, why? And he goes, I've always fancied myself a fantasy writer, right? And the centaur is always my central figure. I said, that's your higher aspect of yourself trying to personify itself, trying to manifest itself in your world, not only to tell you that he exists, but also that he wants to tell you that he wants a life here. And his life here is through your books. Wow, that just opened a whole can of words and the worms, and the whole different aspect of the Akasha opened up to both of us when we went through that. Like, I learn as much as anybody going into the Akasha. Like, it is just a phenomenal experience. So I do recommend people do this at least once, because it really helps us to understand who we are. And a lot of people will do the Akashic records to understand, what is my path? What is my destiny? Why am I here? Again, Akashic records will have those answers. And if they're not covered at the end, usually what I do is I will say, okay, what are your mundane questions today? Like, what are the questions you want to ask that's an everyday stuff? And if I haven't answered it, which normally I do, because the Akasha knows what the client wants, we go through, how is my money, how is my health, how is my this, how is my that. And sometimes we'll even connect that. Certain people have health issues because something in their record books is needing to be shifted or changed. So as I said earlier, we have access to our record books. So we each have a records room that we can actually go into, and that I take our clients into. And then we'll either see books on a table, or maybe we'll grab a book, or sometimes it doesn't even look like a book. It could look like a medallion or a piece of cake, right? Like, and you eat it, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I see everything, or I know what I need to, and I see my book of life, or whatever. So again, it's one of those things where you have to expect the unexpected. Our everyday brain wants to see it as a certain thing because that's our conditioning. But if we allow ourselves to open up, it's crazy how things come to us and make sense at the end, right? I had one woman, literally, she saw her book of records, and it was so cool because it was a little piece of cake. It said book of records, happy birthday. And it was her birthday, and she ate the book of records. She ate the piece of cake, and it showed her path and destiny. And it was something that she loved to do, but she never really took it seriously, which was baking. After that Akashic Records, she decided that she was going to go and she was going to learn and take a class in baking. Well, she loved it so much that I think it was a year and a half transpired. She had enrolled in, I think she was enrolled in George Brown, I'm pretty sure, in the baking program. And she became a baker. And she was like, when she contacted me now, she was, yeah, I'm in a bake off right now, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And it's so rewarding to be able to show people that and unlock them, because that's what the Akasha is for. That's what all this work is for, is to heal, to help grow, to empower. Yes. So even those people who are skeptics, people who don't believe, people who say, hey, you know what, this stuff doesn't work. It's irrelevant. It's not about a belief system. It exists. It exists. The sun rises in the morning and it sets at night. Right? We don't have to believe that it will, it just will. And there have been times when I've done Akasha for people. They know I'm doing it, but it's a distance Akasha, so I go in for them. And I've done some things and I move some things around. And because I know them, I'll just play a game. I will tell them some of what I've done in the Akasha, because this helps me validate as well. And over the coming days and weeks, I will see things unfold for them that correlate to the things I didn't tell them that I did, or that I saw, or that I did. But what I'll do is I'll write everything down. So afterwards I'll be like, look. And we have a lot of fun doing that, right? So working with the Akashic Records can be done in many ways. I've done it in groups. I've done Akashic Records for a group of sisters whose family had passed, like their mom and their dad and their grandparents. And that was really neat. It was a family reunion Akashic Records. And that was really nice. Okay, so what else did I want to talk to you guys about the Akashic Records? Because there's so much. Like, it's even the conversation is limitless. You can go up into the Akashic Records to meet your guides, to meet your animal spirits. You can go into the Akashic Records and just explore. and look around. You can go up into the Akashic records to change your own records. I've done it. I've gone into my records room. I've looked at my book of life and I went, okay, you know what? Poverty and scarcity. I don't like that. I'm shifting that. I'm changing that. And within days, someone will come along and go, here, let me help you with this. Here's a teaching tool to make you grow. Here are some more clients. It's an incredible thing when you can go in and start to play with those things that are what's the word I'm looking for? Considered impossible to work with or off limits. And the thing is the Akasha is there to keep you safe. So you are always safe. So some people ask me, hey, you know what? If I have access to my records or somebody else, isn't that unethical? Or should we be messing with stuff like this? The Akasha is not going to let you mess with anything you shouldn't be messing with. The Akasha is not going to let you into a room you're not allowed to go in. So when I do Akashic records and I first bring somebody up, I see it as a traffic light. Other people see it differently. So this traffic light will have green, yellow, and red. And if I see a big green light, fantastic. There's full access. Sometimes I'll see green with yellow. Okay, you know what? I may have to give some messages with a little bit more panache or be a little more delicate, whatever. If I see a red, there's something there that person is not going to be ready for. Today, we got a red, but it was like, okay, it depends on how we work on the Akasha to see if we're going to be allowed to go into that room where there's that red light. And when I hit that red light, I saw it and they went, don't. You can, but don't. And I went, okay, you know what? We can bypass that because there's enough here that we can not only fill the hour, but enough to go deeper. And that's not as important. It just didn't feel like it was necessary. It was just kind of like a side thing. And I think it had to do with past life anyway. I didn't really go into it. So the Akashic Records itself takes care of you. So this leads us to who takes care of the Akasha. The Akashic Records has what's considered the council. And I've seen the council of 7 at times, 13 at times, and it changes depending on what's going on in the Akasha. And the council is incredible. And I've been up against the council before, and they can be fickle, they can be fair, but they are always just. Vanessa Marie says, would some records would be considered lessons, like in astrology and placements? Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, limitations, right? Don't put any limitations on yourself. It's limitless. So yes, you can actually look at the Akashic records and find your own records and find the learnings and the lessons. Or you can actually go up in the Akasha and go, what do I need to learn today? What are the lessons that need to be presented to me? And then not only will you get them in the Akasha, you'll get them in real time. So I actually did that once. I'm like, what do I need to know? And I got slammed right back. And I'm like, what just happened here? I'm like, okay, I'm not touching this tonight because something is whatever. In the next 4 days, slam, 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 lesson over lesson over lesson. And I'm like, okay, so the lesson wasn't to be learned up there. The lessons were to be learned here. Okay. And that's also where I kind of learned, okay, you know what? We need to do this gently, easily, effortlessly, safely. But it's always done safely. Okay. It always is. It's just how much you want to handle. Carla, hello. How are you? So when we work with the council, we always have to be reverent. We can always ask to be taken to the council, even just to witness. And again, it's kind of like a courtroom, or at least that's how I see it. Not like a traditional courtroom. Doesn't look anything like that to me, but it feels like that. And so you get to witness other things. You get to participate if you need to, but make sure you need to, because make sure you got your T's crosses and your I's dotted. Have specific information with you, like a docket, or if you're on the docket, make sure you have, specifically, what do I want to ask? How do I want to ask it? Again, don't waste anybody's time. Don't waste anybody's time, because they will slam you. There is the room of animals where you go in and it's just beautiful, and there are animals everywhere. There is the court of animals where you go in and it's just the most exotic thing, where you see these animals. It's like, I don't know if you've ever seen the ABCs with animals, and they're like they've got the head of a rhinoceros, but the body of a human, or it's just so incredible, and they almost look Victorian. So there are things like that in the court of animals, and just all kinds of abstracts, and it's beautiful, just stunning. So if I could paint and I could draw, which is again my next step, the things that I see there are just astounding. And this is one of the things that I would love to show people. So when we go into the Akashic records, it's actually not difficult. We're doing it all the time. We live in the Akasha by living in this existence. But to get in there, what I usually say is, you know what? Take me up to the Akashic records. That simply. And then I have faith that whatever I see next is the doorway to the Akasha. It could be a set of stairs, it could be a stone, and I have to put something on the stone or a puzzle or whatever the case might be. Sometimes, boom, I'm directly into the room or the hall of records. It depends. It depends on my vibration. It depends on the vibration of the client. It depends on the space I'm in, whatever the case might be. So always remember the Akasha is ever changing. So as you change, so will your room. So will your Akashic records. So will everything that you see, experience, and feel, and to the degree that you feel them. Okay. So the Akashic Records is a place to learn. It is a place to experience. It is a place to connect. It is a place to heal and be healed. And that's the other thing too. When you go up to the Akashic Records and you're in there, take me up to the Akasha, you have faith, you're in the main hall. You can even ask, you know what? I'd like to meet my guide, my Akashic guide, and you'll see your Akashic guide. And don't judge it. It can be anything. It can look like a person. It can look like a flower. It can look like like anything. Some people have shapeshifters. Some people don't. Some people it's just a voice. Some people it's just a cloud of smoke or color or whatever the case might be. So your Akashic records is individualized to who you are and how adept you are and how much you've grown and that kind of stuff, or what you want to see. What you want to see, right? So when you're in there, the only expectation you need to have is expect the unexpected, right? And you can do this anywhere, anytime. You can do it lying down or sitting up. I mean, I was doing my Rogers show, and one time all I heard was access the Akasha. And I did. I went, okay, I need to access the Akasha, please. I need to see her book of records. I want to see her book of careers. Okay, I want to see what she could have been, what she was, what she has been. And I saw it all. And I told her, I said, this is where you need to go next. She goes, I was considering that. Excellent, wonderful. Close the book. Next. Right? So when you go into the Akashic records too, the reason for it is to go deeper. So I have general readings that I do, like 45-minute readings and 1-hour readings and 15-minute readings. And these are really beautiful readings where we go through, you know, the everyday stuff and what you need to know and how you need to know it. And that's really wonderful. But if you go into the Akasha, now we're going I call realm walking or realm jumping. You don't know where you're going to go. You don't know who you're going to see. You're going to go, don't know what you're going to come up against. And sometimes it's incredibly abstract and you're not going to see things there that you expect, or you're going to see things there that you weren't expecting. So it's a really, really, really deep reading. And it's one that I really encourage. And yeah, I do encourage doing it with me because I love doing them. But my eyes are uniquely different. I've only found one other person who sees the Akasha almost identically that I do. And I thought that was just brilliant because she validated so many different things. But again, we all have our way of accessing it and working with it. And I could tell you story upon story upon story, right, of that. And in the Akasha, you can see the past, the present, the future. If you're pagan and you work with gods, it's a great place to go and connect to your gods, you know. And that's the other thing too. It is limitless for religion, culture, spirituality, gender, sexual preference. It just doesn't matter. It's the essence of who we are. And in essence, we are Akasha. We are Akasha. Elvira Bratfish says, yes, your readings are awesome and going into the Akasha is even deeper and so cool. Thank you, Elvira. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Any other questions about the Akashic records? Anything anybody would like to know? This is like this show is going so fast. Deanna Tuomi, wow, this is really resonating with me. How do I book a reading to find my Akashic records? Okay, thanks for asking. Raisingenergy.com, and it will be under unique readings. So I don't do specialty. I don't call it specialty readings. It's under unique readings, and it's right on the homepage. You click on that, and you'll see all the unique readings that I do. Akashic records, Tree of Life being two of them. Okay, so you can do that. And the tree of life is your blueprint. So the Akashic Records touches on that a little bit. Sometimes we'll see your spirit animal, your spirit tree, your herb, the spirit sport. And when I say spirit sport, the sport that is, accustomed or designed for your best and highest good. So even though I hate running, running is mine. Right. So this is why I do duathlons, because it's run bike. I have that thing that I love here, but that spirit thing that really aligns me, that I really enjoy doing. So if you want to book an Akashic Records, raisingenergy.com is where you can go. And I think you can actually access my website from my Facebook pages as well. All right. Are you doing readings tonight? I came late to the party. Yes, I am. And I'm going to be starting them in a few minutes, in fact. Any other questions about the Akashic Records today? These are great questions, by the way. And yeah, we can do a lot of how often should we access our Akashic Records, says Kim. You can access them every night. If you're doing the work yourself, you can access them every night. If the Akasha doesn't want you there, you won't get anything. Right. And if you feel like, okay, I'm going into the Akashic. Okay, so here's the other thing. If you're going to access the Akashic Records at night, you might fall asleep. That's okay. But make sure when you wake up, you exit the Akashic Records. And all that's about is by saying, thank you. Thank you, Akasha, for allowing me to be here. Thank you to my higher selves. Thank you to all those within the Akashic Records. I want to be brought back into my body, into the space, into this room. With gratitude and love, I release you. And you don't have to say those words exactly, but you have to thank the Akashic Records and those who were with you in it. Okay. So it's as easy as that. Getting in and getting out is simple. What you do inside it, that's up to you. Right? Formulate questions over the days. There's something I want to know. Even for work, I have a problem that I need to solve at work, and it seems so unsurmountable and unsolvable. Go to the Akashic Records. Ask the Akashic Records to be able to help you solve those mysteries. Okay, awesome. So with the Akashic Records, we need to understand that we are meant to work in these realms. That's why we have access to it. But that doesn't mean we have full access to everything. That depends on our own enlightened stage and the work that we do as energetics. So I am a healer, I am a reader, I am this, I am that. So those are the realms that I'm going to have access to. But by rote, because I work with clients, whatever they have access to, I might have momentary access to. Right. So I might be honored enough to have the, access to the room of Babe Ruth, because this person was somebody on his team in another lifetime, or knew him, or Marilyn Monroe, whatever the case might be. And yes, those answers are there. Who shot JFK? If we're meant to know, Akasha has that information. I've actually never asked that question before. I never actually thought of it, but yeah, there are a lot of those questions you can ask too. And that's if you have access. You might get a big red light that says, no, you can't, for whatever reason, right? And sometimes we don't get information because it's not us that's not ready. Maybe the world's not ready to hear what they have, what the information you're accessing, or the questions that you're asking are so good that only certain people can have that information. And so you might have it, but you're only allowed to share it in a certain way. Again, limitless. And the Akasha also works in symbols. So it's not literal. Understand that it doesn't have to be, it can be literal. It doesn't have to be literal. You could see symbols everywhere. I know people who walk into certain rooms and all they see are symbols, or they'll walk into the Akashic Records and they'll see a raven's eye. And it's like, okay, what does that stand for? For me, that's a symbol of somebody who can walk both worlds, right? But for them, it might be something different. We all have a psychic dictionary that we work with, and the Akashic Records is one way of exploring that dictionary. What does that raven mean? And then you hear something or experience something. What is this guide? Or can I see my guides? Or can I see new guides? Or whatever the case might be. Go have fun with the Akasha. Okay, it's 7:40. If you have questions, then you can ask them. So I'm going to go back a little bit because I know there were a couple of questions that were asked. Was my dad, Renee St. John says, was my dad happy that we spread his ashes in Hawaii? Does he have any messages for us? He likes that you did that for you, and he says that he's just like, yeah, I think it was really wonderful. It was something that was very special to him, that you took the time, that you took the, yeah, he really thought that was amazing. And you, Renee, it was really great because I feel like you organized a lot of stuff. There's something about you organizing stuff. It was almost like a memorial or something like that. Maybe this is what it was, but he loved that. That was something that was really, he loved hearing his own stories. He loved hearing his own stuff. Okay. So that's really cool. Let's see. What is our next question? Okay, Pauline, you have a question. You can ask that now. Nancy Warren, did somebody put a curse on Glenn's butt? No, they didn't. Glenn and I have talked about that. No. And sometimes, okay, so sometimes we can create our own chaos, things that we hold inside, and we hold so much we become like a tornado. And so what happens is, because we create this chaos or this tornado within us, all of a sudden things start to happen. But in Glenn's case, there's a lot of release happening, and Glenn knows what that means because today was a pinnacle day for that release. So no, if anything, these were beneficial and blessings. Okay. Right. Let's see. Margaret. Hi, Angel. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? If you have questions, this is the time. I feel like I want to get healthy. Okay, here we go. Here's another one. Vanessa Maria. I feel like I want to get healthier from my highest self. I know I should get healthier, but I feel like I have blockages. The only blockages we have are the ones we create. So if you're saying you have a block, you're going to create a block. That's just the way it is. Go into the Akashic Records. I perceive that my blocks, I perceive that I have blocks. I feel like I have, what are my perceptions holding, right? And call on that higher aspect of yourself. So go into the Akasha. I call on that higher aspect of myself that understands and why I feel like I need to have blocks, right? Or that I have blocks. And what are these things? Right? What are these perceptions that I have? So I call on that higher self who understands it and can clear it, who can get rid of it, right? Call on that higher self who can heal me right now. That's all you have to do, is call in your higher self. And you don't have to go to the Akasha to do that. You can call on your higher self to do that, and that automatically takes you into the Akasha, right? Like, again, don't limit yourself. You're already in the Akasha. You live within it. Okay. You don't have to do some special ceremony. You really don't. Call on that higher aspect of yourself that knows what you're going through right now to help you clear what you need to clear and move forward in a healthy and empowered way. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. What else do we have here? And again, Deanna asks how you book it. Raisingenergy.com if you want a reading. Absolutely. And then let's see. Who else do we have? Oh, okay. I like this question from Vanessa Maria again. She says, how would I know I'm presented in my Akashic space? Would you know if you've already accessed it? Yeah, you can feel it, right? When you say, hey, you know what? I want to go up into the Akasha, don't judge it. Have faith. Sometimes people don't see, they just feel, they just know that they're there, and they explore the experience that they're having. You know, you're looking for that tangible. It's the intangibles. You're lying there and know that you're there. You're lying there. You may see something. You may feel something. You might get an inspiration. You might start talking. Okay, so this happens to me. If I'm the Akasha Records, sometimes I'll just start talking to myself, or I'll find myself like whisked away into some imaginary scenario. And then when I realize I'm there, I'm like, oh, wait a second. That was the answer to my question, right? So expect the unexpected, right? You are in the Akasha if you ask to be. All right. That's a great question, by the way. Marie Claude, hello. It will have been my mom's birthday today. Any messages from her? She's laughing. All I get was laughter. And all I keep getting is, go get like a muffin or something and stick a candle in it and just say happy birthday to her one-on-one. Okay. So she'd like that. She'd like some alone time with you is the message. All right. Renee says, hey, Angel, we spread my dad's ashes in Hawaii. I've already answered this one. Does he have any messages for us? Excellent. Pauline, I would love advice on what's happening with my current home and where I should go to rent again, or wait to buy, or buy right now. Don't buy right now. Stay where you are. until this time next year when the opportunity is presented to you. Don't go anywhere right now. Buying right now, you're going to lose money. Period. End of story. You particular. And I've had clients go, okay, should I buy now? Because look at the market, da 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 da. Like, no, this is the right time. This is not the right time for you. Not until next year around this time. Around this time, you'll understand better next year because things are going to start flowing for you. Next year feels like a money year for you. It goes right into 2026 February. So the next year, whatever year animal it is, Chinese animal next year is, which I think is Chinese zodiac 2025 is snake. It's a snake. You're shedding the old and you're stepping into the new. So next year is going to be a really good year for you to shed the skins of the old home, shed the skins of the old career, shed the skins of old perspective. It's going to be a very empowering year for you, but it's also going to be a really fun year, but a lot of, oh my God, this is a lot. So for you next year, I think, Olive Bach Remedy is going to be your friend because that's for feelings of overwhelmed. Okay, there you go. Will my anxiety decrease? Thank you. Yes, everybody's anxiety is going to start decreasing as of May. April, it's already, it'll start around the second, third, even third week of May, which is coming up fast. But again, we are going through a retrograde. We had 2 eclipses. We had the new moon. You had the full moon. We had all kinds of stuff happening. So, it's just, you're going to, if you're an anxious person, you're going to be more anxious. If you are an anxious person, you're going to heal some of that anxiety. So for you, I'm actually being shown, Carla, when anxiety comes up, allow it to be there. And what is it that you're anxious with? And lie down and just experience the anxiousness and see what images come, what thoughts come, what feelings come, and go through it. But for you also, use the Akashic Records. Let me come into the Akashic Records. Where does this anxiety come from? Where is that core issue? Where did this start? Where did this begin? What do I do to release it? What you do to release it is just acknowledge it. Here's the core issue. Wow, that released by itself. And that's what's going to happen. When you find the core issue, it releases. Okay, it shows you the illusion of what you're fearful of. And anxiety is usually fear of the future, the unknown. Stacy says, hello, what is my path in life? Not sure, careerized, where to go. Actually, do you know what? Go into I'm literally being shown, you need to go into your Akashic Records and see your book of careers, see your book of life, because there's something really shifting in you that's going to put you on your path. I'm actually not allowed to tell you. This is a journey. Okay. And sometimes that happens. Like sometimes you go, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. This is what your purpose is. But sometimes it's your journey. And Stacey, it is. If you want, Stacey, you're the kind of person I would definitely do Akashic Records with right now, because I think it's important for you to see where you're going. And you're feeling it. It's like it's bubbling inside of you. So if anything, I can help you learn how to get in there yourself. So if you want to, that's great. I'm totally open to it. But this is a journey reading, unfortunately. It really is. And I say unfortunately because I like to give people the answers right here, right now in this thing. Vanessa Marie says, I dreamt of hamsters last night. Haha. I always remember my dreams. Sometimes I think it's really random, and others I'm waking up thinking on how cool my dreams are. No, it's never random, even dream dumps, right? So dreams are when our subconscious mind is trying to process our day walk. And so you'll get symbols like hamsters or this or that. And then the lucid dream is when you can actually feel it and it feels real. And maybe the hamster is there as a symbol for you or a guide for you, whatever the case might be. So hamster medicine. Let's look at that. Hamster dream meaning. Okay. Hamster dream meaning is a sense of being overwhelmed by many small tasks or responsibilities in your waking life. And then you can go deeper into that online, because it's like, okay, was it running? Was it coming towards you? Was it playing dead? Was it lying on its back? Were you petting it? Was it attacking you? Were there many of them? So go a little bit deeper on that, because I think there's a lot of symbolism there for you right now. Let's see. Avalon Sharp, wondering if my grandma or grandpa have any messages for me. I'm struggling and really missing them lately. And they're smiling. Like literally, I thought, okay, this is a cliche, but they're smiling and they're blessing you. I don't know if you've ever watched Harry Potter. And Harry was sitting in front of the mirror and he saw his parents. And Dumbledore sees this and he says, many a man have withered away by the longing of what they want. So be very careful, because yes, they're always with you, but don't long for who they were. Know who they are in your life now. Talk to them now. If you're struggling and you miss them, they're there. So talk to them and go, look, this is what my life is about. I'm struggling. Help me move forward. Rather than missing what they were, start working with them and seeing them for who they are in your life now, because all that's missing is that corporeal part. They're still there. They're still working with you. They still want to be there. And now she's radiating even more light because she wants to be there for you. And there's no conflict in your life. Don't create it. Okay. She just said that there's no conflict in your life. It's okay. To be sure, it's okay. Okay, good. Crystal Hawk, I'm really missing my Nana. And is there any messages from her? Not tonight from her, but I see a dog with her. So I don't know who that dog is, but that dog seems to be really important for her to show. It's almost like she's going, look, this dog is here with her. So I don't know who this dog is, but she's going, it's about the dog. I want it to be about this right now. And I want to tell you that it's okay. This dog is okay. She's really content. She's at peace. Okay. Kim L. My mom has been gone decades now, over 2 decades now. Does she still come around? I miss her. Of course, of course. 2 decades for us is 30 seconds for them. They're always around us. Even if they reincarnate, they're still around us. And the reason for that is we're not linear beings, we're liminal. So that means I can be in the past, the present, and the future all at the same time. Be watching over my kids from a past life right now. I could be being here with you right now. I can exist in this plane as another person of who I am, say another angel in India, right? So just understand we are not linear beings. We are liminal. So yes, your grandmother is going to be there and always has been and never will leave your side. Okay. Lori says, show that. How do you go into the Akasha? I just joined. Sorry if already talked about it. It has been, but that's okay. Going in and going out of the Akasha. Going into the Akasha, I ask and give, you can say that. I ask and give permission to those of the light. Take me into the Akashic records, or take me up to the Akasha, please. That's how I say it. Then have faith that you'll come to like a door or something that will show you that you are coming to the entrance of the Akasha. Some people just know that they're there, or they know they're going into the Akasha. Coming out of the Akasha is the reverse. Okay, thank you. I appreciate the Akasha. Thank you for allowing me to be here, because the Akashic records is a living entity. Take me back into my body, take me back into the space. With gratitude, with love, I release everything. Okay. And they don't have to be those exact words, but that's the in and the out. And then the in between, when you're there, have fun. Have at. Laura, go through the video, especially the top part of it, and it will give you even more detailed information. All right. Let's see. You're welcome, Vanessa. Nancy Warren says, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Absolutely, you are. There is no other path for you. I just heard that. So you need to enrich and grow this for yourself. Embrace it more and own it, baby. Own it. Crystal Hawk says, am I going to be successful in what I'm trying to do right now? This is one that I would definitely do a reading on, because this is not a straightforward answer. I do feel like you're going to do okay, but it's a stepping stone to who you're really meant to be. So if you want to do a reading with me, even a 15-minute reading, that's great. But I would probably go a little bit more than that. And I love 15-minute reads because they're touch-based reads. So a lot of people, when they do Akashic records, they'll wait about 3 or 4 months afterwards, and then they'll book a 15-minute read, because they're like, I implemented a lot of the stuff that we did in the Akasha. So I have a few questions based on that, and we do a mini read. 15-20-minute read. It is crazy how much you can get in there. So even if you have just 1 or 2 questions, you can book something like that. But that goes really nicely with the Akasha or with the blueprint. And the tree of life is the blueprint, right? We all have clues as to who we were to help us know who we are, to help us move forward into who we are to become. And so to give you an example of that, my son is a Capricorn. And I've always seen him as a goat, but I've always envisioned him with these little goats, and he's actually Capricorn Ram. And I was in a healing one day, and somebody saw the same thing without me saying anything. And she goes, yeah, he was a farmer in another life, and there were these 2 little goats, and they were a bane of his existence. I'm like, oh my God, I've seen that. So the universe will always give you these clues, right? So he's a double goat, those 2 little goats. Okay. So understand that the blueprint is helpful to give you your path in life and show you where you're meant to go. And it will help you see your existence and your design. All right, Margaret. Hi, Angel. My brother-in-law committed suicide a year ago. Is there any message sending my husband? Is sending my husband, and is he okay? So again, this one is a very delicate one. There are some ins and outs of this one. Normally I can say, yeah, you know what, they've crossed over well, they've done this and that and the other. I think there's some stuff here that needs to be addressed, but the message for you right now is that there are many variables to help him cross over. So if you were to do a reading with me and we were to address that, I think we're going to do a bit of a healing with him to help him move forward even more. And then we can see even more messages and things like that. But right now, I feel like there's way more to that we could go deeper into. Okay, so sorry. Suzanne Richard, a boyfriend of mine was killed in a job accident years ago. I sang at his funeral. I keep hearing our song on the radio. Is he sending me a message? Yeah, that he still loves you, that he's still around, and that you have more access to him. There's something happening with you, Suzanne, that is actually lowering or weakening the walls between the two worlds. So I feel like your mediumship is growing and your connection is clearer. So he's trying to show you he's there, that you're connecting more readily. But it's not just to him you can connect. And I'm saying this to you. You can do this. Mediumship is your thing. Go and explore and develop. And yeah, acknowledge him when he comes through. Just make sure you go, you know what? I acknowledge you. I see that you're there. It's okay. If you want to come, that's fine. That's okay. As long as it's in a healthy way, right? Good. All right. If you've already asked a question, I'm going to try and get to Jim. Hi, how are you? If you've already asked a question, I'm going to try to get to people who have not asked questions yet. So, hi, Angel. I've been feeling really off, restless maybe. What's next for me? Nothing right now. Let this restlessness really sit there. Sit in the restlessness. Sit in the, so to speak, because it's you opening up. Yesterday was my day, and I was just, I'm really glad this show happened today, because I am like totally past a threshold. And for you, it's the same thing, but you're going to go through it for another probably 4 to 4 days, 3 to 4 days. And then you're going to start feeling like yourself again, but sit in the restlessness, because inspiration is next. Next steps for you are going to be really great. Some travel is involved in this, and that could be foot travel, like going out and doing stuff, but there's something coming for you. And the next 4 or 5 days are going to be very telling. So next week, I want you to come back and I want you to tell me how you are and how this has evolved for you from today to then. Can you do that? Because if you can do that, I would really appreciate it, because I want to see that evolution and where you're at then to now and today. Okay, good, excellent. April 8th has always been high drama date, both positive and negative. Can certain dates truly retain increased energy? Do we manufacture this in our minds? No, we do not. So April 15th, which is yesterday, somebody put out a post. Did you survive it? April 15th is considered the date of tragedies. And on April 15th, a lot of people and a lot of things have been experienced that are just outstanding. So no, each day has its property, just like each day of the week. Monday is for travel. Tuesday is for the day of enemies. You want to get rid of enemies. That's the day to do it. Wednesday is communication. Thursday is the catch-all day. And Friday is the day of love. Saturday is the day of banishings. And Sunday is the day of blessings. So every day has an energy attributed to it. And it's not us creating it. These things are universal, right? So going into the Akasha, do we create the Akasha? Does the Akasha exist? The Akasha exists. Now, do we exist because of the Akasha? Or did the Akasha exist because of us? You know what? I think it's a chicken and the egg. I think that it all exists in the way it's supposed to, as it's supposed to. It is what it is. There is no first or second, or this comes before, that comes later, because in the universal way of thinking, that's an abstract, right? Time and space don't really exist. One thing doesn't start before the other does, and one thing doesn't exist because of the other. It just is. Just is. Now we're getting into like quantum physics and stuff like that. Really heavy. Hi, Angel. It's my brother-in-law's birthday today. He passed in November. Are there any messages for my sister-in-law? Yeah, he's sorry he left. He's sorry he left. He misses her dearly. He really misses her dearly. And he does come near her. He doesn't quite touch her yet, because he knows that what that can do to her, but he just needs her to know that, and you can connect with him. So if there are messages, Sophia, you can tap into that. Okay. And especially now that you need to work in the Akasha, go into the Akasha and get the messages for her too. Okay, good. I have 1 minute. Holy mackerel. Crystal Hawk says, thank you. That would be my dog, Tiana, because we were talking about her grandmother having a dog and presenting the dog. So that's Tiana, her dog. Yep, there it is. That's the little dog in the picture, I believe. I think that's the dog anyway, because I didn't see it. I just felt that it was there. So, okay. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me to work with you today. I do have to fly. I actually have a virtual psychic party to do in Mexico. So I'm really excited. So that's another thing. You know, if you guys want to do virtual parties anywhere in the world, or you want to do a psychic party, I'm here, and I do pet parties too. So these things are fun, because we can access your Akashic records through these parties, especially when I do the group read portion. I do a group read and then I do individual reads. So there's just so much you can do with me. So I got to fly. I have that to do, and I hope everybody has a great time. And please play with the Akasha, do the replay. Lots of information here. Go explore, go experience. And just because you hear me saying things about the Akashic records, when you get in there, remember, expect the unexpected. RaisingEnergy.com, Angel Morgan. See you next Tuesday.